Hi, I'm Chris Munson with Visual Sorcery, and today we're going to talk through the basics of Lightforge and of Foresight, our lighting visualizer. I'm going to start with talking through Foresight since it's much simpler and there's much less to talk about. We can just get that out of the way quick here. I'll go ahead and turn some lights on here, and then I'm going to switch over to Foresight. Okay, so Foresight is just a basic lighting visualizer, and if you don't already know, what a lighting visualizer does is it gives you the ability to see what a lighting show is going to look like without actually having real lights. It's just a lighting simulation. And so when I make changes in Lightforge, say I hit center here, the lights are going to move and respond accordingly. If I change colors, the lights are going to change. And you notice we wound up with two different colors here. That's because it's actually simulating these lights. And the lights on top of these trusses here are Roby 575 washes, and they are a color mixing fixture, so I can get just about any color I want out of them. These here are Roby 575 spots, and they have a closer color to the one that I had picked. And then these are a cheaper fixture that don't match the color quite as well. They just didn't have the appropriate color slot, so it picks the closest thing to it. That's why you wind up with a little bit of color discrepancy. It's the same thing that would happen if you selected those colors in real life. So anyway, this is communicating with the lighting console through ArtNet, and so you can run this either on the same computer as Lightforge or as another computer on another computer on the same network, and it'll work just the same, and should help you to see what you're working with. Okay. To move around within the visualizer, you can right-click with the mouse to look, and then use W, A, S, and D to move around, spacebar to move up, left shift to move down, and yeah, that's about all there is to it. So let's go ahead and move back into Lightforge here, and I'm going to go ahead and release the groups that I changed. So I'm going to talk through the groups panel here first and explain what's going on with that. Because once you have an understanding of how the groups are set up, everything else within Lightforge makes a lot more sense. So I'll start by selecting this one light right here, and I'm going to turn it on. So to do that, I'll go down to the intensity panel here and just drag it up. And it turned on. That's easy. If I want to set the position, I can go ahead and just drag the positioner around. If I want to set the color, I can change the color. All very easy. Then we have some secondary attributes here, focus, zoom, iris, all of these different settings, and you can change them just as easily. Now you see when I changed those, I wind up with this orange border around here. And let me release this so you can see how that happens. I made a change, now I've got the orange border. What that is showing is it's showing what's going to get saved into a queue if I were to save a queue right now. And I'm not going to, but if I were, the intensity change that I made would get saved into that. So let me release that, and you can release your changes by pressing R on the keyboard. And now say I wanted to change the intensity on all of these lights. Well, I'll select this group, and I'll go ahead and turn the intensity up, and now you see orange border here says I changed the intensity on this entire group. If I want to do the same thing to this higher group, it's going to affect everything inside of it, and so on and so forth. I can also select multiple fixtures or a mix of fixtures and groups, and then do the same thing, and it's going to work just like you'd expect. So that is the basics on how you select lights and how you manipulate them. So it's very quick, very easy, and it allows you a lot of quick control on setting that up. So next thing that we'll talk about is queues. Queues are also very easy to work with. So I'm just going to set up a basic look here. I'll go ahead and turn all of these lights on, and we'll just go with that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a queue in, and you do that by pressing the queue button here, and it wants a name for it. So I'm just going to name this first queue, and there we go. We have a queue. And you see the orange borders on this disappeared. That's because that information has now been saved into this lighting queue. If I click on the queue in the queue editor over here, it'll show me what is saved in here. And I have the intensity information at 100% on here. And if I want to adjust the fade time on this, I can just grab onto the little blue handle here and drag it. And you can see down here it tells me the time on this fade. So right now it's a 3-second fade. So if I play this, and you can play by pressing the space bar or by pressing this play button down here. So you saw it faded up over 3 seconds. Okay, now say I want to do something else. Say I want to now change these lights here to be blue, and these lights here to be green. Great, I've got everything set the way I want it to do. I'll just add another queue, and I will label this second queue. And you see, because I had the first queue selected here, and I added a queue, it did a sub queue on that. I don't really want that right now, so I'm just going to click this and drag it here. And now I have the first queue where everything is white, and then if I play into this next one, everything fades from white to blue and green. Now, when I look at the queue information here, you'll notice that the only information saved in here is the red, green, and blue, the color information that I changed. It's not actually keeping track of the intensity information that I changed in the first queue. And the reason it does this is because Lightforge is a tracking console. And what that means is if I make a change, that change is going to stay there until I tell it to do otherwise. So because I turned the lights on in this queue, the lights are going to stay on until in some other queue I tell them to do something different. So this queue isn't going to hold the information saying these lights still need to be on. It's just going to know that because it was set in this first queue that the lights are going to be on until then, or until I turn them off. So if I go ahead and turn these lights off in this queue and add that, now we'll see intensity is at 0 in this queue, and when I fade, the lights fade down. So that's how you set up your queues. A couple of keyboard shortcuts that there aren't currently any buttons or menus to access. If you want to have queues that don't stop at the end of each one, press F with a queue selected, and that will turn it into a follow queue. And what will happen is when you get to that queue, it will continue to advance. And so you can automate whole lighting shows by setting them up like that. You've probably seen me doing it a little bit here. You can also adjust the length of your clip or of your queue by grabbing on the handle here and pulling it. You can also rearrange your queues by grabbing on them and moving them around. And everything automatically restacks itself back. So if I move queues all over here like this, it's just going to readjust them to be lined up next to each other. So that's the basics of the timeline. There's a lot more that you can do within that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'll show you the Submasters panel now. Submasters panel is very simple. It's just a way for you to control groups of lights easily. So say you wanted to set up a front light wash and you want to have some of your lights at 50% and some at 80%, and then you want to make it so you can fade them all proportionally. So when the fader is at 100%, some of them are at 50, some are at 80%, and it's just like a percentage of that as you pull it down. It's really easy to set that up. I can select a couple of lighting fixtures here, and we'll set these at 50%, and then I'll set these at 80%. We'll just set these at 25, and then we'll set these at 100. Okay, and then I'll just go ahead and right click on this submaster here and hit add selected fixtures. And I'm going to rename this to be, we'll just say random sub. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select all of these lights and release them. And then if I go ahead and grab this and pull it up, well, there's a bug. Let me try this again and see what's going on here. I have a hunch that what's happening is that I deleted some submasters from those, or some groups from those submasters, and they were conflicting with it. Oh, you know what? No, I know exactly what the deal was. I didn't have the right group selected. So let's go ahead and hit, well, let's clear that submaster first. Hit add selected fixtures and release them. There we go. So what had happened was I had set the intensities on a bunch of lights, and then I had only had like these lights selected, and it doesn't add all tracked fixtures or all fixtures that you've changed. It just adds all fixtures you have selected. So there we go. So you can see how you can easily set that up. If you want to remove a couple of lights from this, you can select them, hit remove selected fixtures. If you want to take the information that you're setting here and record it into a queue, because right now you see as I'm making a change here, it doesn't have the orange border around it, so it's not going to get saved into a queue. I can right click on this and go track fixtures, and now that change, if I go ahead and hit this and hit update queue, and I'll just hit add to selected queue, it's going to add those in there. And there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the pallets. Pallets are a way for you to set up presets for certain looks and certain positions. Say you want to have all of your lights aimed at the center of the stage. Well, I'll show you how that works. I'll go ahead and turn all of these lights on, and if I hit the center palette, all of the lights are going to point at the center of the stage. Let me hop back in Foresight here, and you can see they're pointing there. And same thing, if I hit random, they're going to point at a random position. Onset, they're going to point at the set on the stage. And these are all palettes that I've just kind of set up to play around with here. If you want to add in a new palette, you can go ahead and make your changes. So say I want to have all of the lights kind of at a centered position. We'll go ahead and add this, and I'm just going to call that home. So now if I go to center position, they're going to go back to the center stage. If I hit home now, they're going to go to their home position. And it's as easy as that. And one thing that's currently not working right now, but probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks I'll have working again, is that pallets should automatically update within your queues. So say you record a lighting queue with the center pallet and then decide to re-aim all of your lights to be like 10 feet further stage left or something like that. That change should automatically get changed in all of your lighting queues. But it's not currently doing that right now. It's just going to take the positioning that it's setting when you hit this, and it's recording it directly into the queue. There's some issues that I need to work through with it, and it wasn't 100% stable right now, so I just disabled that for the moment. All right, so next thing we'll look at is effects. Effects are really simple to work with. All you have to do is select the lights that you want the effect to apply to. So right now I want to do it on all of my intelligent lights here. So I've got that group selected, and I will do a circle effect. So all I have to do is click on the circle effect, and you'll see in the effect settings panel here, the effect is highlighted in red right now, and that means it's disabled. And the reason it's disabled by default is it allows me to set up the different parameters on it before I enable it. So I'll just go ahead and set that right there. And then I'll explain what it's doing. So I right-clicked on the effect, and now the effect is active. And you see all of my lights are just going in a circle. If I adjust the rate, they're going to go in that circle faster or slower. If I adjust offset, it's going to make it so the lights are staggered, so their progress through the effect is further based on which light you are looking at. And then influence controls how much the effect is influencing the lighting fixtures. And this effect is additive on top of the positioning value. So if I go ahead and move this position here, you'll see it's based, like the center point of the effect is on my position. So if I want to remove this effect, I can just click the X and it goes away. If I record a cue while an effect is active, it's going to record that effect into the queue, and I'll just set up an intensity fade effect here, and we will. Okay, so we have some lights that are just kind of doing a chase pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and update this queue with this effect, and there we go. So you see when I did that, it added this little green bar down here. What this is showing is it's showing the duration of the effect. And effects track just like the lighting changes that you're making. So if I added this effect in this queue, it's going to continue going until it gets to a queue that it's told to stop in. So let me just go ahead and kill this effect. Then I'm going to add another queue, call it end effect. Okay, and now I must have forgotten to do that right. Let me update that. Okay, so now we see we have this little white dot here. It's signifying the end of the effect. So as soon as this gets to this queue, it's going to stop the effect. And there we go. So next thing that I'll talk about here with the effects is keyframing. And with effect keyframes, what you can do is you can make the effects change over time. So let's say I want to have this effect start at like with an influence of 0 and then fade to 100%. So if I click on this keyframe here and then change this to 0 and then go to this point in time right here and put it at 100%, now what's going to happen is as this effect goes, it's going to fade my influence up until it gets to this keyframe right here where it's at 100%. And this allows you to fade effects in and create some really interesting effects as well. So say let me just go ahead and kill this effect here and update this. Okay, so that effect is dead. And then I'm going to go ahead and add an intensity fall off effect and turn that on. I'm just going to set the center there. Okay, and there we go. So what this effect does is it allows me to adjust the center position, and then based on that, the intensity falls off to the left or right, or however you have your lights oriented. So I'll go ahead and add this effect to this cue, and then let me go ahead and keyframe the center position on this. And so let's go ahead and go to here, back to here, back over to here, and then back to center. So what this effect is going to do over time now is it's going to move to the right, move back to the left, and then move back towards center here. And it's not showing anything right now because my intensity is down in this cue. So let me turn this back up. And actually, let me show you how you can adjust this. So you see right here, the intelligence group is set to 0 in this cue. We could either change the intensity on this by going and pulling this up to 100% here. And while we're talking about keyframes, you can also keyframe the different attributes in the cue. So right now, like if I were to play this back, it's going to fade the intensity of this group from 100 to 0 and then back up to 100 again. We don't really want that. What I want to do right now, because this is messing with my effect, is I just want to remove this group. And now that I did that, it's not controlling the intensity information anymore. And so my effect here is now going to work properly. And if I want to adjust the timings on this stuff, I can go ahead and just grab my keyframes and move them around. All right, so that's all the information you really need to know about the effects. I'll talk through a few additional things here real quick. Some stuff I haven't shown you yet. The panel right here is the show list panel. And what this allows you to do is do multiple cue lists. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in a cue list here and name it new cue list. All right, you see my cue list here disappeared. I'm going to go ahead and just add a different cue here. Just added that. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and set the fade time on this to 0. And now if I go ahead and fade back to this first cue, or this first cue list, it loaded in that cue list I was working on, and we're sitting at the beginning of it, ready to start playing. So say you want to set up a different cue list for different songs in a concert, or for different acts in a play, or however you want to use it. That functionality is there. Say we roll to the end of this cue here. We'll just go ahead and go to here, and it fades smoothly between the two. And here you go. next panel I'm going to talk about is the DMX view. And to switch between panels, every panel has this little circle on it. If you click on it, it allows you to see all of the different panels that are available. And I'm going to go ahead and select DMX View. What DMX View shows me is the actual DMX values that are being output from the lighting console. So there's 512 channels per universe. And if you don't work with lighting systems or know what any of this is about, there's tons of information out there about DMX and how it works and all that. I'm not going to get into that right now. This is just showing all of the values that are actually being output. And if you want to select like a single light and see what values are being output by it, you'll see they get highlighted in blue when you select a light or a group of lights. You can also do a channel check by clicking on a channel, and what this does is it sets that the value of that channel to 100% while you're clicked on it, and then as soon as you release, it goes away. This is really handy for just finding a particular light if you don't know where it's located in, like what channel it's on. If you want to look at a different DMX universe, this will show your, like right now I've got this set up for 2 universes. I don't believe I've actually got anything on the second universe. Nope, but there we go. Another thing of note for beta testers is this errors readout up here. If you see errors here, don't panic. These are errors that the software has handled and has moved on with, but I would appreciate if you ever see errors here that you send me the log information. So if you hit view log, it'll pull this up here, and each one of these little sections is the error, and this information is invaluable for helping me find out what's going on and fixing it. And as you can see, even as I've been messing with this here, it's run into a couple of issues where it didn't handle something exactly the way I'm wanting it to. So if I know this, I can fix it and we can make that not happen anymore. So yeah, there we go. There's a lot more to this than what I've talked about right now, but I'm not going to get into it because most of it is probably more in depth than you're going to be going at this point. I'll do some additional videos later on patching new fixtures and creating profiles and creating effects and a bunch of the other stuff that you can do. But for right now, I think that that's good. And if you have any questions, please ask me. If you see anything that's acting really funny, just let me know. And if you have anything that you think it could be doing better, let me know about that as well. And I appreciate your help in beta testing this, and hopefully we'll get all the bugs worked out. So thanks for your help, and thanks for watching.